In this daily drop, it's powering solutions for the Ifootage Shark Nano II. So let's go. All right, finally getting into this one with the Ifootage Shark Nano II. And let me just say, first and foremost, I have experience with the original Shark Nano, and I thought it was a really, really cool product. But there were some things about it that just were not what I needed out of a slider. That said, one of the things that the original Shark Nano and this product can do that many products on the market can't, in terms of just everything being self-contained, is the ability to slide and also pan with a built-in motor at the same time. Now, they've taken that concept in the Nano 2 in both the short and what's over my right shoulder here, the long versions, and they have really amped that up. So this is not a review, and what I want to do in this particular video is just talk about the different powering solutions you have. That said, this Ronin 4 over here, and I think there's about 4 or 5 different DJI Ronin models that are compatible with the Shark Nano II. The integration is just crazy. Once I figured everything out, and it didn't take that long to do it, and I connected everything, it was shocking to me how good it really is. And I'm not really a gimbal person, but this makes me want to go out and get a Ronin specifically for this application, not for handheld gimbal work. Okay, so again, I want to concentrate on powering solutions right now, and I will mention that this thing right here is being powered just by, in this case here, one battery, but we're going to take a look at this right here, which is the power delivery USB-C port, which to me is kind of the key to the castle to all of this. But I'm going to talk about all of the ways that we can power this thing. And that thing is being powered just by the one battery, which is powering the slider. It's powering the DJI Ronin, and I can do the same thing just from that one USB-C port once everything is connected. And that's because Ifootage and DJI work together for this to all work the way it does. One other note, because I really want to make sure people do this, is if you do in fact purchase and have one of the Nano 2s, either the short or the long version, do yourself a favor and make sure that you do your firmware updates before you start doing everything else. In fact, today when I powered it up, because there was originally a few little issues in terms of it just tracking the way I wanted it to, it gave me an option to go from 0.0.22 to 0.0.24. I did that. It added new functionality, fixed some things, and I'm very happy with the firmware update. All right, so let's take a look at all of our powering options here. We'll start with the obvious, which is an NPF style battery, Sony style, that you can actually power the whole thing with, okay? And I also want to say that you don't have to use a DJI Ronin. You can just use this to slide and pan with the unit, but this is really like the cool stuff in terms of motion control, repeatability, and stuff like that. So this just goes onto the side of the slider itself and powers it. And you know, you just need to make sure that you have a battery that is effectively giving at least 60 watts of output. This thing runs on a battery for a very, very long time. So get yourself a battery, have that in your kit, even if you're going USB-C. Some other options that you have, Ifootage makes this PD158, 140 watt hour battery. It's this big honking grip style thing that you would think you would attach, and you could use this for a light that can take power delivery, you know, in terms of USB-C. But it's got a 1/4-20 tap. It comes with this little stud here. So obviously there's other ways you can mount it, which could be, you know, you know how these things work, and you've got quarter 20 here. For me, if I'm using this as a self-contained, and this applies to both the short and the long version, there's no difference. There's a quarter 20 tap here. There's other quarter 20 taps as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and reach down and just find that. And there we go. And then I'm just going to thread this. And this can basically just sit now right underneath the actual slider itself. And then you would take the USB-C supplied cable, make sure you have a cable that's outputting at least 60 watts in terms of power delivery. And then that would go into here. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. And I actually like using shorter cables just to clean it up. Again, you need to make sure that it is a power delivery cable that has enough power. And then I'm just going to go ahead and plug that into the USB-C input, hold this down for a second, and then it's going to start up the unit. It's making beeps and blips and bobs, and then it does this initial little calibration thing. I tend to always make sure that I have the camera on there. I'm using the Komodo K5S Head from Ifootage. I actually have this little leveler here because we'll talk about that in future videos in terms of just being able to do that. And then that's it. Then you just can go in and you can start to set your in and out points, and you can start to do stuff with the actual slider. And we're going to get into how to use this both with and without the DJI Ronin in future videos, but you get the basic idea. It's also very quiet, which I love. So I'm going to go ahead and power this down again, just because it's a good practice to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug this. And I'm just going to leave this battery here, even though I'm not going to use it at the moment. The other way, which is a very common way to use the USB-C power delivery port, is to power it off of mains. So the Nano 2 does come with a 65 watt power delivery brick. It comes with a cable. I have a feeling you're probably going to want to go ahead and source a longer, maybe a 10 or a 15-foot power delivery cable. This one looks to be, I think that's probably what is it, about a 4-footer maybe in terms of length. And then, this would go into your mains. And obviously, depending on where you're buying this, you'd have a different type of power delivery brick. And then that gets plugged into there, and then that's it. And then you can power it exactly the same way I just did. But instead of using a power delivery battery or one of these MPF style Sony batteries, you would go ahead, L series style, you would go ahead and power it off of mains. So that's another way to power it. I'm going into sort of my comfort zone and what really works for me. And generally when I'm doing production and I'm using a power bank, I really like this particular Anker one. I have 2 of them. I just used it on a shoot down in Los Angeles. And what I have here is just a ball head. It's an old school Manfrotto ball head. This is the old 482 that I modified a little bit. And then I have this little small rig clamp, which will hold the actual battery. Well, fortunately, if you're not using, let me see if I can show this to you. If you're not using the NPF battery mount here, and you're not putting a battery on here, there's a little recessed quarter 20 tap, which is pretty awesome. So I can take this little rig that I have here, and you can build whatever it is that you think is going to work when you want to power this device. And then because it's a ball head, it just gives me more flexibility in terms of how I can position it. I can open this up a little bit, and then what I would do is just drop, actually this way, drop the battery in and just make sure that that's secure. I'm going to swing this back in my direction over here. I'm inclined to make sure it's level, but for the purpose of this video, it's not critical. And then I have this little 100 watt power delivery cable here. And what I'm going to do is just basically plug that into the Anker power bank. I'm going to go ahead and plug that into here, hold that down. We're going to get the beeps and blips and the blobs and the stuff like that. And then it's going to start the calibration process. And yeah, let's just, there it is. So that's kind of the whole setup in terms of what's happening. And it pretty much covers all of the bases. I think that that's, for the most part, all of the options that you have in terms of powering this or that unit over there. I have this battery on the one that's over there, and it wasn't fully charged when I put it on there, and it was at a 47%. And before I started shooting this video, it was still at 47%, and it had been running for quite a long time. So I'm pretty happy about the performance. I'm really happy about the different choices that I have related to how I can power this. And that was really my hope with this product, was that I could not only do what I originally did, but better in terms of sliding and panning at the same time with a built-in unit. This is obviously better for travel. The longer one, I think, is really well suited for that integration with the DJI Gimbal, tabletop and other types of things. And I would probably go for the 60 over the 40 if I was really thinking about using it that way. But just a really well thought out product. And there will be more to come. It's not probably going to be the next episode, but that gives you a little bit of a taste of things, and I'm impressed. Which way am I going here? I'm going this way. Don't forget to. No, I want to go there. Okay. Don't forget to. And to. And I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.